Well, I'm Attorney Paul Garlinghouse, and this is the law office of Attorney Paul Garlinghouse right here. And mostly what I do is family law. I help people in custody cases, divorce cases, all kinds of family law issues, multi-state custody things, or done quite a few cases in that area. And I do some civil practice and some criminal practice, but that's mostly ancillary to the family law stuff that I do. My office is in New Haven, and I have cases really all around the state of Connecticut. Actually, over 2 decades. I admitted in 2000. So, yeah, it's been a while. I started out, actually, my first 2 years, I was a equal justice fellow with National Public Interest Law. And so I was working in a kind of a special fellowship representing domestic violence survivors and being supervised out of the Connecticut Legal Services. So for 2 years, I was mainly at the Danbury Women's Center and the Danbury courts, handling a variety of cases for domestic violence survivors and victims. Since then, I've been in private practice. I had always thought about kind of two paths. I was a social worker before I was a lawyer, and I was actually employed at the Austin Rape Crisis Center. I was doing public education work there, kind of in connection with some downsizing there. I thought about the path not taken, which was going to law school. And when I chose law school, I knew I wanted to do something having to do with the public interest. And so I went to City University of New York Law School, which is one of the strongest in the country for public interest lawyers actually doing public interest work. But after I got out of law school, that's when I got the fellowship doing the domestic violence work. And I was really actually surprised because I thought, they would choose a female candidate. There were some. But I had the experience, I had the background in social work. And so as a lawyer, I really felt like I could do a different kind of advocacy, a different kind of help to people that really matched a lot of my skills with arguing and presenting information in a concise way and all of those kinds of things that I thought really kind of fit, how I was. And, that's what I've done for 20 years. So it's ended up being a really good fit for me and something that I've been able to feel really like I'm making a real contribution doing that. Ideally, and it's not always the case because of course I deal with a lot of domestic violence situations, just a whole variety of situations. But ideally, what you're trying to do when you start working with someone who's in a family crisis is you're trying to get them to a more calm and peaceful place. And that's always the primary goal. Sometimes that means you do have to go through litigation to get there, but more often you end up in a process where there's some real counseling with them, trying to think about children, especially if there's children involved. How is it going to look for these kids, not just today, but throughout their lives in terms of how their parents are going to handle the situation and sort of getting them to a more peaceful place. The courtroom is pretty scary. I think in some ways intentionally scary. You're not supposed to want to go to court, especially family court. But I'm their advocate and I'm their warrior when they need me to be. But mostly we're always trying to get to a peaceful place. And the clients that I have are generally, they're appreciating that. They're often very scared, often very worried about what's going to happen. They may be receiving all different kinds of threats. And so getting them to a more calm and peaceful mode. And also sometimes that means if they're being bullied, sometimes I have to really push back on the bully and show that this person is not the invincible sort of beat stick that you've come to believe them to be. This person is just a person and you can stand up for yourself and you can be heard in court and you can be respected and your rights can be respected. I think that fundamentally it's kind of an analytical process. There's a lot of information. And I always tell my clients, I don't know your whole family history inside and out. I don't know everything that happened to you. And I acknowledge that. And I know you're going through a lot of pain. But what we have to do is take all that information and we have to really think about how is the court, and ultimately if we're having, a hearing in front of the judge, how is the judge going to look at this? What are the facts and the issues that are really going to affect the judge and change the judge's mind. So trying to focus this sort of massive information that it all feels very important, but focusing it down on really the key issues and the key actions we can take and the key information we can present to the court that's going to get them to the place that they want to be. I think that's really the number one strength. Here's the thing. It's always better to have somebody on your side who knows the court system, who understands how to deal with the judges and the kind of ancillary parts of the court system that you have to deal with in Connecticut. But fundamentally, I'm on their side. I'm trying to get them to a place where they don't have to be in court anymore. And I'm trying to bring this case to a successful and kind of lasting conclusion. Okay? That's always the goal. It's expensive to hire a lawyer, I know that. And so we're trying to do only the things we have to do to get them to that peaceful harbor that's on the other side of going to court and attending hearings on Zoom or in person, wearing masks these days. We're trying to get it concluded. We're trying to bring it to an end.